What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy, and I am one half of the Brothers Murph, and this right here is You Can Solo That? You Can Solo That is a series where I go through all the games in our collection that you can solo, and I review them for you. Because of this series, I've started soloing games on Twitch, and I've actually kind of grown an affinity towards solo games, especially streaming them. So when we found out about this next game, we were very excited, and I particularly was very excited because it had a solo variant. And that game is a new hotness by Starling Games, Everdell. Everdell is a wonderful worker placement tableau building game set in this really beautiful anthropomorphized animal realm, I guess. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of animals, all living in harmony, all just eating berries and living their life out so darn wonderful. And this game is absolutely gorgeous, and I know I should not care that much about how much a game looks, but I do care, and I'm never gonna stop. This game is gonna be high in my books for that reason alone. I love good looking games. The art in this game is so beautiful and so great. I actually feel like I'm in Everdell, like I'm these anthropomorphized creatures just talking and chatting about life.
Hey Jerry, yeah? I don't like you. You're my least favorite critter in this realm. That's alright. I don't need your approval. Well, alright then. I've got one question for you, Nigel. Well, what's that, yeah? Why when doing characters do you always do this kind of weird Cockney British cadence thing? I don't know. Is it because you're not a very good actor and you're not very creative when it comes to these kind of things? Maybe. Alright, well maybe just, leave that kind of stuff up to Mike. Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do that.
It's a really great kind of intro worker placement game. The main mechanic, in my opinion, is the engine building tableau building part. And the worker placement is kind of the secondary mechanic. And so this actually has become my go-to gateway worker placement game. People always ask, what's the best gateway worker placement game? And at this point, I'm saying this, because the worker placement is very simple. So this is relatively new for us, and we've really enjoyed the heck out of it. We've played it a bunch of times, shown it to a bunch of people, and overall, everyone seems to like it a lot. And one of the main reasons we got it is because it had a solo variant, which means I could do it for this show, and then I can also play it on Twitch. So I was very eager to try it. And so I did. I did for you. So now we're going to open this box and get to the table, and let's see how it solos. Alright, this is Everdell Solo Setup. The solo setup is pretty much exactly the same as it is for a two-player game. You're going to be putting out the events, you're going to put out all the different stuff, you're going to get 5 cards and pick your color of worker, you're going to put out the meadow cards, all that kind of stuff, and then just like a two-player game, you're going to put out 3 random forest actions. You go ahead and pick a random color. I like to choose the little blue turtles. And then for Rugwort, the rascal who you're playing against, you can choose any other color. They do suggest you choose black because he's all evil and stuff. Evil rats. But you could choose any color. You could choose the bunnies, you could choose the squirrels, or you could choose the porcupines. I know they're probably hedgehogs, but I like to call them porcupines. Deal with it. As I said, you get your normal starting hand of 5 cards. Rugwort gets no cards at all. The only real difference in normal setup is you're going to take 2 of Rugwort's players and you're going to put it in the leftmost spot on the basic actions, which is this 3 twig action, and you're going to put it in the top leftmost spot in the forest actions, and these are going to be blocked for you in this season. The rest of Rugwort's workers, you're going to go ahead and put up here in the big old Evertree thing, just like you do in a normal game where your workers are as well. And that is it for the difference in setup. You basically cover up these 2 spots, and that's pretty much it. So now we'll get into the gameplay, though I will say the gameplay also is pretty much exactly the same for you. There are slight differences which we'll get into, but for the most part, the gameplay is pretty similar. So as I said earlier, Rugwort himself doesn't have any cards, but how he gets cards is that every time I play a card into my tableau city here, what you're gonna do is roll this big chunky 8-sided die. And whatever you roll on this 8-sided die, you're going to take that card from the meadow and put it into Rugwart's City, which you can just kind of have off to the side here. And the numbers for the meadow go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So depending on what you roll, you grab that, put it in Rugwart's City, and then you replenish the meadow per usual. When you put a new card into Rugwart's City here, he doesn't get any of the benefits on the card. He's just going to use these for endgame scoring. But you do want to make sure you keep all the different colors of cards, whether it's green or blue or purple, keep them all together and separated by color. You want to keep them together because throughout the game, you're going to check to see if he gets any of these basic events. And these basic events are based on how many cards of the colors you have. Changing into the season takes place per normal. When you're done placing all your workers and playing all your cards, you're then going to move into spring and you're going to get your new worker and then continue as normal. But Rugwort will also get his new worker, which will go on the board. When you go into spring, Rugwart's new worker will go on the top leftmost meadow space. When you go into summer, his worker will now go on the second-most space. And then finally, when you move into autumn, his 2 workers here will go into the last 2 spaces in the top row of the meadow. And these covered meadow spaces are now blocked for you. You cannot get these cards no matter what, but Rugwort still can. So when you play a card, you would still roll this big 8-sided die, and if you've rolled something like a 3, Rugwort would still get this card, and then you would replace it with a new card and then put Rugwort back over it. Also in the changing of the seasons, Rugwort blocking the worker placement spaces will also move. When going into spring, this player will move over here to this 2 resin spot, and then this one will go down to this forest space going in a counterclockwise way. Then while going into summer, he will block the 1 pebble space, and then this will swing all the way over here, blocking this space. And then when going into the final season of autumn, this worker will go block the berry and card space, and this worker will go over here and block the number 3 haven space. The last thing you do for Rugwart's prepare for the next season phase is you check to see if he has completed any of the basic events that you haven't completed yet. So in this situation, he has put down 3 blue cards and I haven't yet. So he qualifies for this city monument event. You take that event and then you go ahead and you put it in his city, and now this will count for scoring for him at the end of the game. And that is why we want to arrange these by color, because it makes it easier to see what events he has completed. So you play through the game as normal, doing everything the same and everything that I said for the solo game, and at the very end of the game you count up your score per normal, but then you have to count up Rugwart's score. So you always ignore the point value on all the cards. Each card Rugwort is going to get 2 points for, regardless of what's on them. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Now, if they are purple cards, usually these give you endgame scoring. But again, Rugwort doesn't do anything like that, so he is going to get 3 points for every purple card. He's also going to get points for any events that he gathered throughout the game. Rugwort also claims any of these special event cards that you did not claim, and he's going to get 3 points per card that he has at the end of the game. So in this situation, if I claimed this one, I would get the 6 points that's on this card, and he would get 9 points for 3 cards worth 3 points each. And then you pit his score against yours and you see who won. Now the interesting about the solo version of Everdell is you actually are supposed to play 3 games. This is only year 1. You play year 2, which is a whole nother game, and then year 3, which is another game. The games play, for the most part, exactly the same, with only slight differences, which we'll go into right now. In year 2, Rugwort gets 6 points for every unclaimed special event card. And when you would normally cover up the 3 journey space, in year 2 you cover up the 4 journey space. And that's the only difference for year 2. It just makes it a little bit harder. And in year 3, when going into autumn, instead of covering up the 3 or the 4, you cover up the 5 journey space. And then while going into autumn, Rugwort will still take his 2 workers and he's going to cover up the 3 and 4 spot on the meadow cards, but this worker, instead of moving to the 1 berry, 1 card spot, this worker sneaks up to the Evertree and kidnaps one of your workers. So for the last season, you have only 5 workers instead of 6, which makes a pretty big difference. And then once you play those 3 games, if you beat Rugwort 3 times in a row, you have won Everdell solo. And that is how you solo this game right here. So that was Everdell. So how do I think How do I think? Apparently not very well. Overall, I like it. I like the fact that it's really tough. I like the fact that it plays pretty similarly to the normal game. As you can see from my playthrough, there's not really many differences. Even Rugwort, the awful rascallion kind of guy, even him, he's not really doing much. He's mostly just blocking things. And it's not even something like Viticulture, where each season you go into, you're drawing cards and having to block new stuff. This one is just a couple spots are blocked, and then when you go into a new season, those move. And then you go into a new season, and those move. It's simple, it's easy, it makes sense. I like the fact that he just grabs cards from the meadows. I like the fact that it's a roll of the die, because then it's more randomized. You never really know what he's gonna get. And it makes it hard to get those events, because he just may go boom, 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 get 4 green production cards and snatch that event before you even have a semblance of a chance of getting it. And I like that. I like the fact that it's tough. I like the fact that a lot of good solo games, the AI player is just able to just get stuff. Just get stuff, get stuff, get stuff. So easy, and you're having to work and work and work to get the same amount of stuff and even try and catch up to them. I also like the fact that solo, this game is pretty quick. It's not very long, even like a 4-player game, but solo, you can bang through this game really, really fast, which is cool because technically the solo game is 3 games. I think that's fascinating, and I think that's really, really cool that you play year 1, and then Rugwort comes back, and he's slightly different, makes it a little bit harder, and then you play year 2, and then Rugwort is back for the final thing, and you make it a little bit harder, and then boom, and if you can win all 3 years, then you win the solo game. That's super cool, because you also could just play one of those and just go, okay, that's the solo game, I'm gonna play one quick game, and that's it, and it's kind of up to you what you do, and I really, really like that. So based off this review, you know that I like it, but I do have one part that I really, really, really don't like. And the thing I really, really don't like is these special event cards. For each of those you don't claim, in the first year, Rugwort is going to get 3 points. And in the second and third year, he's going to get 6 points for each of those that you don't claim. Now, for the most part, again, I like hard solo games, but this, to me, is too difficult. And the main reason it's too difficult is because those event cards are more based on luck than anything else. Because the basic event cards, you just need a certain amount of one color of card and you can grab them. If you get 3 blue cards, boom, you can grab the city monument, easy. And it's up to you. You can choose to play blue cards over green cards so that you can grab that one before Rugwort gets it. I like that. Easy, cool. The problem with the special events is you need to play 2 specific cards to get them. You need to play the Undertaker and the Chip Sweep. And if you can play the Undertaker and the Chip Sweep, then you can get that card. The problem is, you may never come across the Undertaker or the Chip Sweep. And so those special event cards are more based on luck because you have to draw those cards. Sure, they may be in the meadow, but you can only draw from the meadow a certain amount of times in the game, especially depending on the forest actions. Some of those forest actions that switch out each game, some of them allow you to draw from the meadow, but a lot of them don't. Some cards allow you to draw from the meadow, but again, you may never get those cards. If you have none of those things, you only get to draw 2 meadow cards in the entire game. The rest of the time, you're just drawing from under the tree, trying to get the cards you need. And that's already hard enough in trying to get cool combos by playing like the general store and then the shopkeeper. But with the special events, it's more or less pure luck. There's nothing you can really do other than just do stuff that constantly lets you draw cards, hoping that you get it. There's nothing else you can really do to get those events. And in a multiplayer game, it doesn't really bother me that much because usually like I can luck into one, Mike can luck into one, Crookie can luck into one. It's not that big a deal. But in this one, Rugwort gets 3 points for every one you don't claim. So even if you claim 1, he's gonna get 9 points. And you're either gonna get 3 or 6, or I think the highest ranked one is 9. And at that point, you would only then match each other. And that makes the game really, really difficult. And again, I like really difficult solo games, but I like solo games that I can overcome through skill. This one, I don't think I can, because those event cards are based more on luck. Especially in a one-player game, you're generally not going to go through the whole deck of cards. In a multiplayer game, a lot of times you do, but you're just not drawing that many cards, so it's just complete luck whether you get them. And then in year 2 and 3, Rugwort gets 6 points for each of those, which means if you don't get any, he's getting 24 points. There's no way you're beating that. And again, the thing that bugs me about it is that it's based on luck more than anything else. But one thing I like about this game is even with the constant drawing cards, there's ways to mitigate stuff. There's this card that allows you to do this, there's this card that allows you to do this. But with those, there's no mitigation. You either draw those cards or you don't. And for Rugwort to get so many points for those events that you can't claim, to me, really sullies the solo game. And as I said, I still like the game, but at least for me, unless I start getting way better at the game and am able to beat it this way, I'm going to start house ruling it. I'm not entirely sure how, but what I'm going to do is something along the lines of, instead of them each being worth 3, I'm going to make the first, second, and third one each worth 1. And then the fourth one rather, is worth 3. So basically, it's like, if I can get at least 1, then I decrease it by half. I'm not entirely sure how I want to do it, but I am going to change it because, at least for me, the way it is now does make the game too hard for my enjoyment. And especially because it's just luck, and that bothers me about it. If it was just straight up hard and that's just how it was, that's fine. So I'm going to change it because it changes my enjoyment of the game. So overall, I really, really like it, but I do want to know down in the comments, does anyone else have that same problem with it that I do? I know I've spoken to a few other people who seem to have that issue. Is anyone out there just like, man, I crush butt at this game and that's not an issue for me at all? That may be so, and maybe I'm just not very good at this game. But that's what house rules are for. They're to increase your enjoyment of the game, so I may house rule this one. But overall, I do really like it. I like the fact that it's very similar. I like how quickly it plays. It's just a good time. Solo, 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. It's just a good time all the way around. So that is going to be it for this You Can Solo That. Please make sure to like and share this video. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us over on Twitch, where we play games like Everdell and all other games all the time. So until next time, this is You Can Solo That? I'm Nick Murphy, one half of the Brothers Murph, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for checking out the Brothers Murph. We are sponsored by Restoration Games, and there's great information for where you can find them in the description below. Now, what I want you to do is click something else here, and I'm going to make this noise until you click away.